My structure are the 100 million Nigerians living in poverty, 35 million young people unemployed.
I think that Peter Obi's credentials are very clear and everybody knows. John 3:27, a man can receive nothing except is given to him from above. So if God decides that it is him, nobody can stop it.
What's up, my Naija people? How una dey? Now, it's always exciting to be on this platform, bringing all of the issues to you. Thank you for all of the comments. Many of them usually are very pleasant comments, and all of you subscribing. Thank you very much, all of my new subscribers. I am really excited that you're coming on board and you're joining this platform. I see your subscription as, a thumbs up for me. I see your subscription as great support. I really do appreciate. You could also follow me on all my other social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. I really would appreciate that. And if you could also share on your social media, I wouldn't mind. I really would also appreciate that. Thank you for your support so far. It is because of you that I am able to do this. It is because of the responses that I get from you that I'm able to get in front of the camera again. It is what gives me encouragement to continue to produce these videos. Thank you very much. I appreciate your support here. So let's get into today's business. Today, what do I have for you? Peter Obi. Yeah, Peter Obi again. He will never cease from being in the news. And he's still moving around, the length and breadth of the country, trying to garner support, even though the campaigns have really not started. Peter Obi has been reaching out, trying to garner support as much as possible. And I think I must commend him. He's been doing quite well, in reaching out. He obviously knows very well that this is an Herculean task that will require, a lot of support building. And he's been doing that quite well. And I commend his effort. So most recently, he was in Benue State to see the governor there in the person of Governor Samuel Ortom. So has Governor Samuel Ortom joined the Obidient bandwagon? These are related issues we shall be looking at. Now, why did he go to see Samuel Ortom? Of course, he's still in the support building process, and he's probably gone there to see how much of support he can get from Samuel Ortom. And there was a very interesting meeting. We don't know the much that was said. We don't know if any sort of agreement or whatever has been reached. We don't know that, but what we know is that Peter Obi is still reaching out. Is probably seeing how he can use some of the influence and some of the support that a man like Samuel Ortom can bring to the table. We don't know if Peter Obi has gotten any concrete assurances as regards how well Governor Samuel Ortom can support him, but what we know is the much that was said. They spoke to pressmen, and this is the much that I was able to gather. And it appears that Peter Obi will never cease from answering questions regarding his structure and the possibility of him going all the way. Again, in Makurdi, Peter Obi had to answer questions relating to structure base and all of that. And he was asked by journalists how well he thinks his structure will be able to pull him through to go all the way. And as you can almost guess, Peter Obi gave the quintessential Obi response. He stated emphatically that the many Nigerians who are dissatisfied with the current state of affairs are the structure that he needs.
I've said it before when people talk about structure, that my structure are the 100 million Nigerians living in poverty, 35 million young people unemployed.
Now, that was Peter Obi there responding to questions of structure and the possibility of his Labour Party structure, being able to really carry him all the way. With the much that he said, he also quickly added,
and above all, I have the most important structure, the Almighty God.
Now, I guess Governor Samuel Ortom will have raised the hope of the supporters of Peter Obi, the Obedience, and maybe Peter Obi himself, when he made statements relating to the fact that Nigeria must look beyond party lines in solving the myriad of problems that it currently faces.
I think that Peter Obi's credentials are very clear and everybody knows. John 3:27, a man can receive nothing except is given to him from above. So if God decides that it is him, nobody can stop him. Where we are today, I've always said, we must look beyond politics and we must work towards a joint working together to ensure that we rescue Nigeria and rebuild it. And I believe that he will reach out to even the other presidential candidates of various political parties to sit down with them, analyze the Nigerian situation, and see if he can convince them to even step down for him, because there is provision if they do that.
So the question is this something to hold? Can we say that with the much that Governor Ortom had said, he may be possibly considering working with Peter Obi or anything of sorts? Well, don't be too quick to come to conclusion. Governor Ortom may have dashed the hope of those who are probably thinking that the visit will result in some form of support. Maybe Governor Ortom possibly, moving to the Labour Party, or maybe working for Peter Obi somehow, some way. But with the much that Governor Ortom said thereafter, stating that that is a stakeholder in the PDP, a very prominent PDP member at that, and that he welcomed the idea of Peter Obi being a presidential candidate of the Labour Party, also reaching out. He encouraged him to also reach out to other political parties, and the power ultimately belongs to God, and he gives it to who he wills.
But I appreciate him. He knows that I am a very big stakeholder in PDP, but they found time to visit me, and it's been going around. And so this is commendable, and I appreciate him. And like I always say, let us be seen as putting Nigeria first. That is what is most important. And I think so far I commend his effort, and I welcome him and appreciate him for paying this visit. John 3:27, a man can receive nothing except is given to him from above. So if God decides that it is him, nobody can stop him. If God decides that it is somebody else, nobody can also stop him.
Well, many may want to insinuate, many may want to probably add one or two together and say, okay, is Governor Ortom considering the possibility of maybe working outside the PDP and possibly Peter Obi, especially considering what is currently happening in the PDP. And you know that the PDP has not been able to put itself together. The PDP is still struggling with the aftermath of their presidential primaries that produced the Atiku Abubakar. And I guess you know that Governor Ortom is a strong ally of Governor Nyesom Wike, who is generally seen as aggrieved, and the PDP has still not resolved that issue with Governor Wike. Well, we do not know how well that will affect the PDP going forward into the elections, and you can say, okay, maybe Peter Obi is being very strategic, trying to reach out and see if he can reap from the somewhat rancor in the PDP now. It's politics for you. That's how it basically works, building support all around, looking at how you can make the best, even from the lapses of your opponents. But from the much we have seen from the visit, can we really make anything out of it? Can we really say that, anything concrete may have come out? Well, we do not know. Well, it doesn't seem like much, has come out, but it may be too early to conclude. It may be too early to make that conclusion. We want to look at the coming days, the coming months. It's still many months away to the general elections. It's still a lot of time for things to happen. So we do not know if Governor Samuel Ortom is possibly going to consider maybe working with Peter Obi. Doesn't seem like that is what we are seeing. But however, politics, how it usually goes. A lot can happen even on the ground, even behind the scene, beyond what we see on our TV screen and hear on radio and probably see on social media. So you don't want to rule out anything. You don't want to make conclusions either ways. The plot is still thickening. The intrigue is still building up. The events are still developing. So guys, tell me what you think. Tell me what you can make out of this Peter Obi visit to Makurdi to see Samuel Ortom. Tell me if you think he can possibly persuade Governor Samuel Ortom to support his ambition. Tell me the much that you think Peter Obi can reap from all of this. I want to hear your opinion. I promise I will also reply. Let's build a community here. Let's have the conversation. Let's sustain the election conversation as the polity continues to bubble. So I will never cease to ask and appeal for you to subscribe. I need all of those subscriptions because it helps this video to have a far reach, and I really would appreciate if you would subscribe and possibly share if you don't mind on your social media platform, and also hit the bell notification so you get to see my video as I post them. Thank you very much, my Naija people. Una do well. What's up, my Naija people? How una dey? My name is Efe Cole Amadin, a political activist, public affairs commentator and writer, multimedia practitioner, and business person. My goal is to promote political participation and awareness, influence public opinion for national development. I'll be bringing you updates and insightful analysis on developments in the Nigerian political sphere and society in general.